So good morning, and thank you for finding time to be with us and to cover what we have to say. We really appreciate. We don't take it for granted. Um, we are going to read a statement, and thereafter, my colleagues are also going to speak to a few other issues, and then you may ask questions. So, the Revolutionary Gen Z Movement (RGM) stands in firm solidarity with the people of Kenya following the tragic events of June 25th and Sabasaba. What should have been moments of democratic expression have instead become symbols of state-sponsored violence and repression. Credible reports from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and Amnesty International Kenya reveal that the brutal crackdown on peaceful protesters has left over 80 people dead during the recent protests, among them children as young as 12, robbing them of their right to life under Article 26 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. More than 600 have sustained injuries, and over 1,500 persons, predominantly young people, remain in custody. Many are being held incommunicado, denied access to legal representation, and slapped with trumped-up charges such as terrorism and unlawful assembly. These are not isolated cases. They are systematic acts of repression and reflect a disturbing escalation in police brutality under the current regime. We condemn in the strongest terms the use of excessive force by law enforcement against unarmed civilians. The right to protest is enshrined in Article 37 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and no government has the authority to silence its citizens through violence. The arrests, beatings, and killings of protesters, many of them students, unemployed youth, and community organizers, are part of a broader pattern of authoritarianism that has taken root under President William Ruto's administration. We call on young people across the country to remain united, vigilant, and organized in the face of increasing authoritarianism, and rise to demand the resignation of this oppressive government. The promises of youth empowerment, economic reform, and democratic accountability have been betrayed. Instead, we are met with rising taxes, shrinking opportunities, and a police force turned against its own people. The death of our friends and comrades in the hands of police, the deployment of unmarked cars to abduct protesters, and the use of live ammunition in residential areas are just but a few examples of the regime's disregard for human life and dignity. And therefore, the slogans Ruto must go, Muaji, Mwizi, and all the others are not mere chants. They are the voice of a generation betrayed by broken promises and rising tyranny. We are also deeply alarmed by the disturbing trend of a few complicit judicial officers imposing excessively punitive and unaffordable bail terms on innocent Kenyans who are maliciously charged. And we saw this at Kahawa Law Court. These high bail amounts, clearly designed to punish rather than uphold justice, have resulted in many of our comrades languishing in remand, robbed of their freedom, separated from their families, and unable to contribute to the very economy they are accused of destabilizing. Let it be clear that we see these actions as judicial terrorism in service of state repression. The RGM will begin a systematic process of identifying, publicly naming, and where necessary, peacefully confronting in what we've called kusalimia, these judicial actors who have chosen to weaponize the law against the people instead of protecting them. Justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. We demand immediate and unconditional release of all those arrested for exercising their constitutional rights. We also demand independent investigations into the killings and injuries sustained during the protests Sabasaba and June 25th. And we demand full accountability for those responsible, including senior officials who authorized the use of lethal force. We want to make it unequivocally clear that we do not answer to any so-called opposition parties. The Revolutionary Gen Z Movement, RGM, is not a political tool, and we reject the pretense of some leaders who believe they can dissuade the Gen Zs from demonstrating. We are not the youth wing of any political party. We do not answer to any opposition leader. Our loyalty is to the people of Kenya, especially the youth who are on the front lines, risking their lives for a better country. Our movement is driven by lived realities of young Kenyans, not by political calculations. We reject attempts by the ODM leader, the Honorable Raila Odinga, and others to pacify our movement through hollow calls for dialogue. Our demands are clear, urgent, and non-negotiable. They do not require negotiation. They require action. We also wish to alert the public to the government's alarming efforts to sponsor youth militia under the banner Youth for Ruto 2027, YR27. This group, launched on June 25th, bears disturbing similarities to the infamous YK92 that terrorized Kenyans in the early 1990s. These state-backed goons have no place in a democratic society and will not be tolerated. Their mission is to infiltrate the movement, disrupt and intimidate legitimate youth-led movements. And we will resist them with every tool of peaceful protest and civic action available to us. If the government fails to respond to our calls for justice and accountability, we shall continue to organize peaceful but powerful resistance. We shall amplify the voices of the marginalized, and we shall sustain the nationwide protests throughout the year, despite intimidation, arrests, and killings. We remain undeterred. We reaffirm our unshakable commitment to defending the dignity and rights of all Kenyans. Finally, we mourn the lives lost. We honor the wounded, and we reaffirm our commitment to justice, dignity, and the power of the people. The movement is here to stay. We are not afraid. We are not backing down. We are not for sale. Aluta continua.